Live from YouTube, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we're coming to you thanks to Benjamin Franklin, who on this day in 1752 flew a kite in a lightning storm and discovered electricity. Wow. And I thought I was a hero for picking up the meat tray on the way into work today. So if flying a kite is all it takes to achieve greatness, apparently meat trays aren't enough, how do you find ways to become better with less work? Helping us talk about how getting more lazy can spruce up your portfolio, we welcome the author of Control Your Retirement Destiny, Dana Anspach. Also, let's welcome a man who was there to hold the kite for Ben Franklin from lenpenzo.com. It's Thomas Jefferson. I'm just kidding. It's only Len Penzo. Also, with us, a man likely to tell you to go fly a kite. It's OG. And now, a guy who's here to light up your retirement plan, Joe Saul-Sehy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friday. Let me be the first one to welcome you. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe Money on Twitter. And we are, for the first time, coming to you live from YouTube with the Friday show. We're going to be doing these live all summer. So if you can join us, and it's always fun to say the word Friday on normally a Monday, when we record this early in the week. Nothing I like better than saying welcome to Friday. We record these Monday, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. Do the math on wherever you are on our YouTube channel at Stacking Benjamins. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about how being a little bit lazier with your money is the key to success. Let's start off with the gentleman across the card table from me. It's Mr. OG. How are you, buddy?
That's me.
Yes. Thank goodness you and I don't have a 5-second delay between our discussions.
Just between your synapses.
Nice. And he's going to pause for effect.
I was trying, but Doug ruined it. Doug ruined it.
And the gentleman who's coming to us from deep under Los Angeles, the guy who really apparently, according to Doug, held the held the string to the kite for Ben Franklin. Is it true, Len? Were you there?
Rumor has it, but I will never admit to that at all.
Never. Can neither
How are you doing?
confirm nor deny. I'm great, man. How are you? You ready for this weekend?
Of course, I'm ready for every weekend here, and I'm just glad to be amongst all of you good-looking people. Great to be on YouTube so I can see everybody.
And Doug, of course, YouTube himself on YouTube. You miss all the visuals when you hear the audio only, and wondering what the heck she's doing here with us. Back. It's about time that the property values on this podcast are going up. Dana Anspach is here. How are you?
I am doing great. Happy to be back. And yes, Anspach or Anspa, I will answer to either one.
Just what? Don't call me late for dinner or whatever the phrase is. I don't know. No?
Can we just, for my ego, can you just specify which of the two of us said your name correctly?
Well, definitely it was you.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. Yes. Dana, for the people, Dana, whatever your last name is, for the people that don't know what you do, tell everybody what you do.
well, I have a fee-only investment advisory firm that specializes in helping people transition into retirement. So that point in life where you have to live off your acorns, that's really what we do. It's very different than the accumulation phase. And I have a lot of material out there, books, Control Your Retirement Destiny, a course on the great courses called How to Plan for the Perfect Retirement. So lots of materials that help people plan for that later stage in life.
I also like following you on Twitter. Your Twitter handle, off the top of my head, retire before 55.
It's at money over 55.
At money after 50. Swing and a miss. I was so close.
Close. At money over 55. Yes, I love Twitter. It's my one and only just about social media channel right now.
It's fun. The less social media I have to do, the better. I'm just so, yeah, please, no. Well, good news. We're going to talk about doing nothing and how that can help your portfolio results today. We've got Dana here. We got Len here. We got OG. We got Doug. But first, all right, let's get this party started, shall we? piece comes to us from a blog called The Science of Well-Being. Lori Santos wrote this, Dr. Lori Santos. And the piece that inspired us today is do nothing, stay in bed, be idle, how to live a bit better by doing a bit less. And this is something, OG, that I think today, especially when we see things like all these productivity numbers that come in. I mean, when people look at stocks, they look at how efficient is everybody, right? We are so worried about efficiency. I think at some point that might blow up on our face.
Well, and you look at the outcome of COVID and everybody working from home, the assumption was that everybody was going to be super lazy and not get anything done. But in fact, there was more productivity. You got more done by having the flexibility to do it when you wanted to, which may be a different issue altogether. That could be a problem if you can't separate that work and home stuff. If you know, your dining room table is also your office. But yeah, I don't think lack of productivity is an issue for most people, honestly.
But do you think, Dana, that, you know, as OG talks about the malaise that was the time of COVID and COVID continues, do you think that this becomes a problem that we don't have these time off days anymore, these times when we're not thinking about work? It's all just kind of muddied together?
I think it's a big problem. We only have so much energy, and when you're constantly on, your brain never gets to refresh and recharge. And we just had an employee out for a week, and she said she managed Wednesday through Friday to not check her emails, but that means Monday and Tuesday of last week she was still in there. And we were talking about it literally 2 hours ago about the importance of just checking out and having that true downtime. It's really, really important.
Seriously, how far into vacation, Dana, do you have to go before you're actually on vacation mentally? Because it takes me a good 2 days.
Yeah, probably about 2 days, and a lot of times I'll schedule, like, a few completely offline days where I'm not allowed to do anything, and then I'll have to have, like, a few hours to check in, and then I can have a few more offline days, and then a few hours to check in.
But there's this thing we do, OG, where we naturally check our phone, right? Like, how do you avoid checking your phone every, 12 minutes when you're on vacation?
Well, it's not about not checking your phone. It's about not checking work stuff. So you just have to disable the work things on your phone. You know, we have a completely virtual team, both for Stacking Benjamins and for our planning firm. And our rule is, if you don't want to be bothered, you should have your phone on Do Not Disturb. And I was alerted to that fact this morning when my phone rang at 8 o'clock and I was still blissfully asleep, which is one of the things they talk about in this article, sleep longer. Like, I'm in for that. But that was my fault for not having my phone on Do Not Disturb. I should have, and it was one of our team members who's like, "Hey, good morning. You got time for a question?" I'm like, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Like, are you feeling okay? You don't sound so good. Like, well, you woke me up. So
that's a good problem to have.
Turn your stuff off. That's the easy way to do it.
But Len, you've seen the nature of work. I mean, you've been working for the man for how many years? You've seen the nature of work and the amount that the workplace demands from you. I'm sure it's changed over your career.
The demands have not changed, but the technology has changed to the point where it does make it harder for you to check out if you want to check out.
You don't think that the demands from your bosses change? Because I hear from most people that, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, still in the game, where it used to be 5 o'clock, I could go home.
Well, for me, it's always been long. You always had to do that kind of thing. So the thing is, though, now is like OG said, is, you can't, for your own sanity, you have to recognize that you have to be your own person. And sometimes you have to tell the company or your boss or whoever, I'm just not reachable after a certain time. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. I'm not beholden. I know you're paying my paycheck. I'm putting in extra hours, but there is a point where, you know what, it's off limits, and you've got to draw that line, and you have to set that line with your boss. Otherwise, they are going to take advantage of you. You just absolutely have to. And if that means turning off your phone and throwing it in the drawer, then you do that after, say, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, because you'll just drive yourself nuts. The company will take everything they can from you if you let them.
I want to stick with you for a second, Len, because this piece says it's not hard to find self-help books and business gurus telling you that in order to be happy and successful, you need to be fully committed to your goals and give 100% every waking second of the day. But I'm more interested in the people who recommend a more moderate approach, she writes, even extolling the virtues of sometimes, shock horror, doing nothing. And I don't even look at that as more moderate. I just think doing something 100% of the time, every waking hour of the day, is a path to burnout.
Oh, I mean, I totally agree with that. You've got to have downtime. You've got to have at least an hour a day, 2 hours a day where you don't do anything. You just got to let go and get away and just do something. Do a crossword puzzle, play a Sudoku, do something, or just sit in a room and meditate. But you've got to have that alone time. Otherwise, you will burn out.
Dana, before we hit record, you told us about a mentor that had a great phrase about the power of doing nothing.
Absolutely. Kathy Kolbe, it's Kolbe, is the founder of a series of assessment tools. And she has a book called 5 Rules for Trusting Your Gut. And one of them is do nothing when nothing works. It's my favorite one of her 5 rules. And it goes through my mind all the time when I'm in overdrive. And I realize it doesn't matter how many emails or messages, like I just need to check out and take 2 or 3 hours to, as Len said, really meditate, be quiet, sit and stare at the blue sky, look at my dog, whatever it might be, something to just let my mind quiet down. We're more creative, we respond better. There's just so many benefits to having that downtime.
Do you block out downtime in your day?
So I have just started that practice recently. So I'm in a leadership training program, and that's one of the key things is they're teaching is you have to have this, they call it strategic thinking, or we call it white space time. So I am blocking white space time on my calendar, and it is making a big difference.
Doug knows white space time. He's there about 4 out of every 5 hours of the day, I think. Fairly certain.
Tabula rasa is the technical term for it, and that's what my brain is.
I thought it was like Hakuna Matata is what the phrase was. No?
What's
Not
tabula rasa? What does that mean?
It's literally blank slate.
Blank slate.
That's what my brain is. I'm just ready to accept super intelligent ideas. And then the stuff you guys say.
Wow. Just assume that one almost passed us. OG, you and I are in a coaching program that you recommended to me, Strategic Coach, where doing nothing is a key component.
Well, it's just a philosophy that I think is backwards and is broken for most people. And we're in the process of hiring some new people to our team. And we were talking about it in kind of our interview process. It's like, everybody thinks that you got to work really hard in order to earn time off. If I work really hard, then I can go get some time off. But especially in our jobs, thinking about content creation for the show and being creative, and Dana, you and I have the similar, financial planning businesses, and thinking about how to think about strategically helping clients and all the other stuff that goes on with running a business. You have to have the capacity to do that. And the way that Joe, you and I have been taught on this, and I have been for a long time, is in order to work really hard, you have to have had time off, and you do your best work immediately following an extended amount of time off. And that could be a weekend, or it could be a week, or whatever the time period is. But we were talking about this in this interview the other day, where I said, you never get a client email on a Sunday afternoon that says, hey, by the way, I won the lottery yesterday. I can't wait to talk to you about it. Most client emails on Saturday or Sunday start out with, I've been doing some thinking. And it may not be bad. It just may be a list of things that's on their mind, or it may be bad, or, who knows. But nevertheless, if you see that on a Sunday at noon, because you don't have the discipline to turn your phone off on Friday or Thursday, whenever your last day is, and you see it, now what did you just do? You took the entire rest of the day on Sunday, which should have been for rejuvenation, so that you're good to go on Monday, and you just started grinding that out. Like, how am I going to reply to this? Maybe I should do it right now. Yeah, he wrote it on Friday at 6 o'clock at night. Now it's already Sunday at 2. It's been and now you've consumed that and you've taken away the opportunity to really, rejuvenate over the weekend. And that
your weekend's done either way. Like either way, whether you respond or not, your weekend's done, because if you don't respond, you're going to panic about it. If you do respond, then you're still going to ruminate over,
and you're setting up the wrong example, right? I mean, like Len said, and I know, Doug, you've said this to me as we've talked about different business things in the past, like, some of this is incumbent on the employer, right? Like if I send a text message to a team member, or I send an email at 10 o'clock at night to somebody, and then I also say, oh, by the way, you don't have to really read it, but it's coming from the boss, it's kind of like, well, I know he says I don't have to read it, but maybe I kind of do have to read it. And I bet he probably wants me to read it. That's kind of sort of our responsibility as leaders also, is to not allow that sort of nonsense into our environment.
Yeah. And you create the culture, right? We've talked about that too, as the leader, whether you're the ultimate boss or even just the leader of your team, you create the culture. I want to challenge something a phrase you used at the beginning of that, OG. Either challenge or just pivot a little bit. It's challenge. On like Donkey Kong. And so, I work really hard, so I deserve the time off. And I think that has sort of been built into us as a culture, at least in Western culture, that's been built into us for the last maybe 75 to 100 years.
100%.
But I think what really we can do as business leaders, what we can change is I deliver, and I've created this value, so then I can have the time off. Because it's not about how much time you're putting in, it's about what you're delivering. And so if you are able to have that white space time or do whatever you need to do so that you can kick ass on Monday morning and deliver something in 45 minutes, who cares if it took you 6 hours to do it or 45 minutes? You delivered something of value. I led a consulting team at the nation's second largest, and a new CEO came in and was troubled by the huge mix or percentage of tens of thousands of associates who were working from home. The company grew by acquisition over years and years and years. And a lot of those people were working in places and living in places where we didn't have offices. And so by that very nature, they started working out of their homes. And she wasn't a real fan of that, wanted to find a way from a culture perspective. How do we pull everybody together? Because felt like culture really grows from being together physically. Bit of a misnomer or a misdirection, if you ask me. So we were asked to create this study on what would it take to move everybody back into the office? And beside the just astronomical financial burden it would take to move everybody into the same office, what we found when we went in to look at a lot of data is the retention of people who were working from homes at the company was significantly higher than people who were working in the office. The amount of time it took to recruit and the cost to recruit new people to work out of their homes was a lot lower than it was to recruit people into the office. The people who are on the high performer list, like 67 or 68% of the people who were tagged as up and coming leaders in the company, they were all work from home associates. I mean, every metric you can come up with pointed to, you should have everybody working from home and really just focus on delivery. What are they delivering for their role? And let them have that flexibility so they can create balance in their lives, because they're going to deliver more. They didn't love that answer, but nonetheless, there is a lot of value.
That's how Doug got retired.
Yeah.
There it is.
But there is a lot of value to us having the balance in our lives that will create that space so that we can deliver more, and it's not put in.
Say that last line again, Doug.
End of sentence. Why is there? I don't remember what I said, but something along the lines of, it's not about how much time we're putting in, it's about what we deliver.
But OG, I think that from our coaching, that's even a misnomer, because it's not even about delivery. It's about, you have to have that time, because that's what creates the creativity in the delivery. It's not that you deserve it at all.
Yeah. I mean, the outcome is value provided or given or whatever you want to say. That's the outcome. But in order to have that, you need to have the creativity. Excuse me. You need to have the creativity space to do that. However you want to phrase it. Some fancy word that Doug used. I don't even know. White space.
Tabula Kuna Matata. Got to be Kuna Matata time.
That's right.
Dr. What is her name? Damn it, I have it right here. Dr. Santos writes a few here. Number one, and just pitch in if you do these. Go to bed early. Any of you guys practice that one? Go to bed early. Letting you hold you. Dana, you go to bed early.
I do too, but I get up early.
I do too, but I think I was in bed around 8:30 last night. It depends on the night, but sometimes if my brain says it's time, I'm out.
Yeah, and Len, you as well?
Yeah, 9 o'clock usually is my bedtime, but I'm up at 5 and sometimes before that. So
Same here.
I'm on too much of a yo-yo. I'm either up really late or in bed really early, and I need to stop that. Second, take an hour off for lunch and talk to people. Who does that one? Any of you guys do that one?
I talk to Doug when I drive to Chick-fil-A.
Perfect. There it is. Is talking to Doug talking to somebody? Is that what
Counts?
we there's a meme that I love. I love that book, Never Eat Alone. I think that's a fantastic book about networking and about what they're talking about here. Network, talk to people, exchange ideas. But I love the meme with the dude who's sitting in the workplace lunchroom reading Never Eat Alone while he's eating alone. Right? Yeah. Number 3 on this list, and your working day on time. Dana, I had when I was a financial planner, I had a mentor tell me this. Like your loved ones are never going to recognize the fact that some days you're done early, some days you're not. You come home early one time and they think you can come home early all the time. And yet, by the same token too, having your day end at the same time kind of trains your brain. Do you end your day at the same time?
No, my days end all over the place. So sometimes I'm teaching live YouTube classes and I might be here till 7:30 or 8. And other days I may leave at 4. And some days I may have a meeting at 6 a.m. because we have clients in 33 states and employees on the East and West, so it's all over the place for me.
Yeah. Do you like the suggestion though, trying to make it uniform all the time?
I'm not a uniform all the time kind of person. So I like variety. So a little bit of variety. And I prefer the flexibility to adjust my day. If it's easier one morning to start really early and be able to be done early, I like having those options.
Man, I so prefer just working during the day. Nighttime hours just always kill me. I just want to be doing my own thing. Len, how about you? Well, you said yours already. You said your job sometimes can be 24/7.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I don't try to impose regular hours, and I will block off on my computer. I will put out of office at my normal, which should be my normal. But that doesn't mean I'm, inflexible. If somebody wants to really push me or there's something that's an emergency that must be done, I mean, obviously I override that, but I try to force that on people and let them see on my calendar, hey, I don't plan to be here after a certain time.
Speaking of that, you've got a monster commute. You ever do this one? Think of your commute as idle time, like you get to listen to the radio, have some fun.
You know what? I read that and I was shaking my head. It's like, now maybe it's because I'm in Southern California and the commute is hell usually when you're driving, at least for me when I was coming home, when I was going, it wasn't so bad, but it was not pleasurable. So to me, that is not downtime. That is, stress time. So at least in Southern California, it's not pleasant.
I have a really short commute. I loved that because there was times where I was trying to schedule, I called them my drive time calls. So, have the hands free. And so I try to use that time productively. I only have a 22-minute commute. It's not that bad.
So you can multitask, Dana.
Well, I mean, I can talk with both hands on the wheel.
I would drive right off the road trying to do a meeting like that.
Len can't do that.
No.
Did you find that you liked it though? Or did you kind of cancel that practice?
I really like that suggestion. No, I canceled that practice for the most part. Every once in a while, there's a, one-off conversation that I might use that time. But I like just putting on music or having that quiet time. So that I'd never seen that in writing before this article. I thought it was great.
There has to be like the little shutdown. You get people talk a lot about morning routines.
Yeah.
Like you get up, you have this, but you have to have the evening shutdown ritual also. And sometimes we do that for bed, right? Brush our teeth, put in our pajamas, do whatever like kind of those steps are. But coming into or out of the office, I think is just as important. I work from home, have for a long time. For our family, the trigger is when the door is closed. Like I'll try not to leave the office any later than 6, a lot of times earlier, but then I'll walk out and close the door. Like the office is locked, and that lets everybody know, and more me subconsciously, like, nope, we're done with work for the day, and everything stays in this room, so
Yeah, I like that. I have trouble transitioning out of work. I do. My mind sometimes, and then I won't be paying attention at home because I'm still thinking about something. That's a harder transition for me.
Yeah. Last one.
Admit,
yep.
Oh, real quick. I will admit I was guilty. I can remember a couple of vacations I went on where I was actually working on vacation. And I mean, we went somewhere, we went to a resort.
I used to do that all the time, Len. I wore that.
Oh my God. And I was so mad.
Horrible.
I would get angry at myself. It's like, how am I letting myself do? But I had, I saw it as I had to do it. And, I regret that now. But yeah, so you got to watch yourself. If you can help, avoid that, please do.
Man, me too. I'm with you. I would totally do that, and told everybody, I'm like, no, I work a couple hours a day while I'm on vacation. That was stupid.
Yeah.
If I could take that back. Last on this list, by the way, don't automatically pick up your smartphone when you have a spare moment. I can't believe, by the way, how reflexive this. Have you ever tried not to pick up your cell phone? I was at the eye doctor this morning. The nurse left the room. I'm waiting for the doctor. First thing I do, I have a book with me. I've got a magazine with me. I reach for my smartphone immediately. Like no. Anybody figure out how to not do that? Anybody pick the lock on that one?
I leave mine out of sight a lot. So at work, I'll leave it out of sight.
Don't bring it. Just don't bring it.
At home, I leave it in the other room. That helps a lot.
Yep, me too. I'm old school. I don't even use my smartphone for anything other than phone calls. Believe it or not, I don't surf on it. I don't do anything on it.
Well, I believe it. I've texted you numerous times with no reply.
It takes a while, doesn't it?
Len, I'm at the door. Please open. I've got the pizzas we discussed.
I'm serious. Yeah. Yeah.
The only one I've mastered is at restaurants. Somebody gave me this tip a few years ago. Everybody stacks their phones in the middle of the table. And even if the people with me don't do that, I take my phone, I turn it upside down, I put it in the middle of the table. And then every time I reach for it, I have to reach halfway across the table. And then I realize that I'm doing it again. And it's like 6 or 7 times a meal. Doug's looking at me like that's not a great thing.
No, you've never once done that with me.
Well, with you, that's case in point.
Hey, one thing about this YouTube thing we're on right now. I see I was looking. I was like, when did the honeybee buy that plant? I was looking. I'm looking behind me and I see a plant, and it was Dana's plant. Actually, it was the plant on her corner of her screen there. So I didn't realize. I thought that was on my screen
in the square next to you.
Yes, it was on the square next to me. I was like, but I thought it was on my square there, and I was looking for the plant that we had bought. It
does feel like
it's a Dana's house.
It is. It does feel kind of like an episode of the Brady Bunch here, though, with all these little squares. Coming up next, the second half of the discussion, we've talked about your workplace environment and how to clean that up and buy yourself time, which also buys you some money. But second, we're going to talk about financial moves. What financial moves are there out there where it's better to do nothing? That is coming up in the second half of the show. But before we get to that, of course, we take a break in the middle of every show for our year-long competition between our 3 main contributors, where we feed them some trivia for maybe the absolutely worst trophy of all time that currently OG's hanging on to. Today you're playing on behalf of contributor Paula Pant. And you know what? That brings up, there's some good news and some bad news when you're playing for Paula. Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
Well, let's get the bad news out of the way first. I'm so sorry, Paula.
Well, the bad news is you're already in last place, which maybe for you is the good news because there's not that much pressure unless you're feeling some pressure to maybe get Paula back in the game. You have 5.5 points, you and Team Paula. OG has 6.5 points. And last week, OG, while you were away, Len pulled further ahead, winning last week's competition. So he's now at 9 with a commanding lead. So I think OG is not going to be taking any time off anytime soon again, so we can maybe get back in the game. Dana, that also means because you're in last, you also get to pick last. So you get to hear what everybody else does first. But to get there, I think, Doug, you've got our trivia question today. What do we got brewing?
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Flying a kite. The thing kids used to do before they started watching people fly kites on TikTok. Good thing Franklin didn't live in Japan, though, because at one point, kite flying was banned in that country because too many people preferred flying kites to going to work. So what year were kites banned in Japan? I'll be back with the answer after I try to get this stupid knot undone.
Can I
Really
had
locked in there.
ton of fun looking up this question. This was a fascinating one. And we start with you, Mr. Penzo. Kites banned in Japan. The kite making industry died in Japan. People stacking fewer. Well, they don't stack Benjamins in Japan. What's the currency? The yen, right?
The yen. They're stacking
Yes.
yen.
Yep.
Yen.
Stacking fewer yen in that industry.
I don't know. That's another one. Who knows? Let's see. Kites. Well, I don't think this is in the 1900s. It's got to be in the 1800s or 1700s. Probably the 1800s. I'm just going to hit right in the middle and say 1850.
You think 1850 in Japan they outlawed kites. Mr. OG?
I was thinking similar timeframes as Len for no other reason than the strategery that goes into it. Not going to make it super easy for Dana here to pick a different number. I'm going to say 1791.
So going way deep. Well,
With an odd
maybe
number just to really foul everyone up on the math.
maybe needs to be well, who knows? Dana, you've got 1850 and 1791. What was your first thought when you heard this question?
I am all the way on the other side of the spectrum. I mean, how would you even enforce kite banning in the 1700s? I mean, do you send stone tablets out to let everyone know that the kites are banned? I don't know. So I went with 1963.
1963 they banned kites, so
That's
much more recent time frame.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. We got like 3 different eras here, guys. 1850, 1791, and 1963. We'd love to tell you who's right, and we will, but in just a minute. All right. Quick break. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Len, you kick this off at 1850. Now that you heard Dana and OG lock in their bets, you like where you sit?
Yeah, I kind of do, actually. I think I got a little bit of the 1900s in there. I think I got, yeah, I do. I like where I'm at.
OG, 1791. Dana thinks that might have been way too early. Like, how do you enforce a kite ban in 1791?
Morse code, obviously.
Yeah. Was there Morse code in 1791 yet?
Sounds like a trivia question, but probably
a future trivia question. Dana, you've got a big chunk of the 1900s. Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it.
All right. Well, let's see how good you should feel. Doug, what's our answer, my friend?
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Flying a kite is one of life's greatest joys until you see your first television set. But they didn't have those back in those days on the island nation of Japan. Kites became the new PlayStation, and too many people were calling in sick. So what year did Japan ban kite flying? Well, it was about 203 years before Dana's guess, in the year 1760, which means
Wow.
OG was only 31 years off, and he
Good
is
job.
today's winner.
Nice job, Mr. OG. Getting himself back in the game here. OG now back at 7.5, and Dana only 200 and some years off. So good work there.
It's like market timing, we just shouldn't do it.
That's right. How many times have you been on the show? Maybe 4?
I think about 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 5.
Have you won?
I don't remember.
It means so much
That's
to her.
how
She's got
important it is to her.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, I will wipe that away, which might be code for no as well, right? Yes. Let's move on, Joe. Move on. Yes. Speaking of moving on, time for the second half of our conversation. Let's go. Second half of this conversation, where we go from the workplace into talking about your money specifically, is brought to you by Magnify Money. Len Penzo, you know what happens when you go to stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money?
I do, but I'd rather I'll defer to Dana. Maybe she can redeem herself here from that last question.
Wait, what happens when you go to stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money?
I guess she can't.
You find out. Way to throw Dana under the bus, Len. That's good. It's like, I'm just gonna let Dana take this one. Dana, here's what happens. You find out that those products you use every day at your brick and mortar bank, probably not best in class. Over 92% of all those stuff online ranked against each other. CDs, money markets, checking accounts, savings accounts, all at magnifymoney.com. Go to stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money, because that's how they find out that we sent you. Remember the old days, Len Penzo? You're the old guy. You walk into a place and you always had to say, so-and-so sent me to get the discount.
And where's my toaster?
That's right. Yes, absolutely. I thought it was stadium blanket or a Frisbee.
Or whatever.
All right, time. We're gonna throw away this fantastic piece from the Science of Wellbeing at this point, and now I'd like to get all of our money pros, all your favorite things, and Dana, let's do the obvious one first. There's one thing I'm sure that everybody thinks about, especially a CFP, that's a great time to do nothing when it comes to your money.
Yeah, I think when people see the latest headlines and they instantly want to change their investment allocation, that's the one that comes to most of our minds. So you build a long-term allocation plan. It's designed to weather, in our case, a 20 or 30-year time horizon. And then the headline comes out and the client's like, I think we should do this, or I think we should do that. And to me, those are the perfect times to do nothing. But of course, we say that, it's what we always say each time this question comes up.
How hard is it at a time like now, when you've got some asset classes down more than others? You meet with your client to rebalance their portfolio, and you're telling them, they come in and they're like, ooh, there's this one that's doing really well, Dana. And then you have to tell them that rebalancing means they do the exact opposite of what they're hoping for. Is that a difficult conversation?
Well, so in our process, we're working with people who are living off their acorns. So we don't rebalance in the way that you're describing. We have bonds set to mature or CDs set to mature to meet clients' near-term cash flow. So it's a really different kind of question. That might be a great question to throw to OG. For accumulation clients, yeah, we're working on that rebalancing process in a more traditional sense. But right now we're just saying, hey, leave the stock portion alone. When it's going up, we will sell pieces of it and buy CDs or bonds that are going to mature. And right now, those CDs and bonds that you already have are maturing, and we're going to use that to fund your retirement paycheck.
So you're just harvesting the stuff that's down the least or up the most in times like now, if necessary.
We harvest. Well, right now we don't need to. We planned that out. We planned 10 years out. So we don't have to mess with anything that's down right now. We have plenty of time to wait for a good year, and there'll be plenty of those over the next 7 to 10 years.
Oh, gee, hard for clients to rebalance if they're in the accumulation phase?
Well, I don't really think so. I mean, maybe emotionally, but from an analytic standpoint, it kind of sort of makes sense. It's like, you want to acquire the things that are at a lower cost and sell the things that are at a higher cost. And that's that buy low, sell high type of thing. And by and large, most people rebalance automatically through their normal contributions. If you've got an investment allocation that is the way that it should be, then your normal monthly payroll contributions or your systematic investing every month will mostly take care of that, except for the most extreme circumstances, maybe like, during the early parts of COVID when the market was down. But the interesting thing, I think, on the rebalancing thing that's going on right now is that everything is behaving very similarly. And that whole idea of let's have lots of safety in fixed income just really hasn't materialized. And people are kind of surprised by that. So I think that's a little bit more timely than anything. But especially if you're accumulating, I mean, it's such a great thing to think about perspective and look back at 5 years ago, you would have said, I'd love to take a 70% return over 5 years in the market. And that's what you have. You've got a 70% return in the last 5 years. That's still better than average. It just so happens that you also had that same 70% return 15 months ago. So that looked a lot better in 4 years than it does in 5, but it's still good, just be okay with it.
Len, we just covered the obvious one. Leave your hand out of the cookie jar. That's your portfolio at times like now. Let's go over some ones that might seem a little more esoteric for people. What's another place where doing nothing with your money is maybe the best move?
Well, how about keeping up with the Joneses? I think a lot of people want to do that. They'll see their neighbors got a new car, or their neighbors doing they've just remodeled their house or something, and you feel, you kind of feel the peer pressure to do the same. Well, that's
check.
Yeah.
Check.
So I mean, but
give me another one.
It really helps to check yourself and not follow them for the sake of following them. That's just sit back, take a deep breath, and look at yourself and your finances and see if that really makes sense.
Wreck yourself.
Thank you.
Len's like, honeybee, we can live in a tent for a few more years. I know they have siding on their house. We don't need any siding on our house.
I just upgraded the bunker. There's no money for anything else right now. No new cars,
likelihood of rain in Southern California, it's very low.
Right.
We don't need to have a roof.
Just because everybody else has windows doesn't mean we need windows.
You know what? You brought that up, OJ. When I was a kid, I grew up in Southern California. Our house, the house I was growing up with, needed a new roof, and the roofing company told my dad that's exactly they took the roof off. It was in the summertime, and they said they didn't put a tarp or anything over it because it doesn't rain. And that's over the weekend. It rained. There was a big old summer rainstorm, a rarity, but oh my God, it was such a mess. And I remember my dad had to go to court with these guys to get the.
Are you kidding me? They didn't want to fix it then?
No.
Wow. Hey, I know it's our fault, but we're going to make you take us to court.
Yeah.
Wow. Does that suck? That's horrible.
Yeah.
What's another one where doing nothing might be your right move?
What came to my mind is you would have to do something in order to do nothing, but setting everything up on auto pay. So it would take that bit of work. But because we work with clients in the decumulation phase, we talk about the go-go years, the slow-go years, the no-go years. And when people slow down, oftentimes it starts about mid-70s, they get forgetful. We had a client who shared with us, he just got diagnosed with mild cognitive decline. And I asked, how did you know? What led you to go to your doctor? And he said, I started missing bills. And so setting things up on auto pay, unfortunately, after practicing over 25 years, I've seen cases where people missed a key insurance payment later in life and the insurance policy lapsed and they ended up needing it. And if that had just been set up on auto pay retirement paychecks coming out of their account into their main checking account, auto bill pay for their insurance policies. Yeah, you had to do something to get it set up. But once it's set up, you get to do nothing.
What were those years? What were those years again? You said the no-go.
They're called the go-go years, so early retirement, the slow-go years, which often start around your mid-70s, and then the no-go years, so oftentimes around your 80s, where health conditions, kind of overtake a lot of other things.
You forgot one.
Which
the
one?
BOGO years.
The BOGO years.
The buy one, get one free.
Do When does that occur?
Everybody's shaking their head. Okay, that's going on the cutting room.
We can buy years. I didn't know that was an option. We get to buy
Is this
years.
like buying pension years?
I think
I
Len's
don't know.
talking about the ARP discount years is what is that what you're referring to?
I don't know. I don't know. It was a bad joke. Throw it away. Just take that out in post.
Done.
Oh, no. OG's already forgotten it. Yeah. But OG, Dana, what Dana says, I think is right on also though for accumulators, because people always try to, buy the dip. I'm going to save money and then I'm going to buy the dip. If you have it on automatic investment, you don't play this roulette game.
Well, you're doing it, right? I mean, it's like it's happened. Those are my favorite things. Like, maybe I'll wait and wait for the market. It's happened. It already has happened many times, and where were you then? Why didn't you go get a mortgage and refinance your house and take all the equity out of your house and dump it in the market? And because it's stupid, you're not going to do that. You're just going to do the thing that's just kind of set up and follow the plan. That's the do nothing stuff. I think in kind of concert with this, the way that you want to set up the doing nothing is to make sure that you've got the time to set aside to do nothing. Len said it before about meditation, being quiet by yourself. If you haven't sat in a chair in a quiet room doing nothing, like, just go try it and see how long you last. It is very hard to do because there's so much sensory stuff going on all the time in our lives, whether it's your phone or the background noise of the kids or your work environment or you go to Starbucks and you work there. There's always this kind of hum and bustle of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Sit in a quiet room by yourself and then try to guess how long you've sat there. It's like they did this study when we were having kids, not a study, a thing that they did for like new parents, where they had everybody close their eyes. They dimmed the lights, so it was all nice and dark. So this is, expecting mom and their spouse or partner, and then they had this nice soothing music going, and then they cranked up this loud baby crying, like just screaming. How babies do, right? They cry at night.
Like the one on my flight right behind me on the way home last week.
Yeah. How lucky are you? So they did this and the instructor's like, nope, you got to keep your eyes closed. Don't just whatever. And they just kept it going. Wah, wah, like that, like newborn cry. And then they said, okay, everybody write down how long it's been. Don't look at your watch. And everybody's like 50 minutes. It's been 35. It was like 90 seconds. It's like, like the most, it just seems like forever. You got to be able to kind of train yourself to have that proverbial detox time. And,
perspective.
And that gives you the opportunity to then be in the moment to make good decisions, which largely are to just sit there.
I want to end with you. What is your what's your tip?
That was all of it, buddy.
That was the tip.
That was
it.
I put it all together in one package with a story.
I thought you were just transitioning into like
I layered multiple stories on top of one another. It was
brilliant.
just a magical experience
Fantastic.
for everybody who was paying attention.
Well,
it was so magical. I didn't even know that was the thing. So
it was so great that you didn't even know that was the thing.
It was sublime. It was sublime.
I'm quite amazing.
The one that I had was a spot where maybe doing nothing makes the most sense, which is I've met a lot of people that when they have something that happens to their house or to their car, they automatically call their insurance agent. I would try to sometimes do the math first because your insurance price may go up enough that, and if it's close to your deductible amount, it probably would make more sense to just pay it out of pocket and do not file the claim. So maybe do nothing is mine, a little modified. All right. That's going to do it.
I've got
Dana?
one more. I mean, I see people that go to these free lunch seminars or read the latest article on news, and they're high pressure, if you do this by this Friday, you're going to get this rate or this, to me, there's where you do nothing also.
I like that one. The Warren Buffett line that there's no such thing as a called strike in investing. Don't have to do it. I should have asked. Len, OG, you guys got another one?
No, I think
It's a weird way of saying no.
Well, I was going to say something, but it's kind of taking from Dana's main point anyways. I was going to say, if there's a big something you want to buy that's big, like a car or something on a whim, don't
wait on it.
Don't do it. Wait.
Yep.
Yeah. Take it, sleep on it, but that's kind of stole from Dana. So I didn't, but
I like it.
Still good suggestion. Absolutely. That's going to do it for today. Let's find out what all of you are doing right now, where you work. OG, let's start with you. Big plans this weekend?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, golf tournament that we are going to win, I'm thinking. And then I'm getting on an airplane and going to the beach for a week. So I'll see you losers later.
Show off. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Penzo, what's going on at lenpenzo.com?
I got 9 financial tips for teens and 20-somethings based on just kind of like probably the 9 of the most basic things you might want to know from a personal finance and life perspective at lenpenzo.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. Great reading as always at lenpenzo.com. Dana, thanks for hanging out with us again. I appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun. I love it.
Circus as usual. I feel like we save a lot of the circus for when Dana's here. What's going on at Sensible Money? What's coming up? Tell me.
Oh, we got a webinar coming up on how to make a retirement spending plan, aka budget. I don't like the word budget. I like spending plan. So I've been working on the slides for that. I think it's next Thursday or the Thursday after. It's on our website, sensiblemoney.com. And then I personally have taken up pickleball, and it's kind of fun. I like it.
Nice. I have never. Have you guys played pickleball? I never have.
It's too trendy for me. Do you take your pug? Do you take your pug to the pickleball court?
I don't have a pug. No, I have a pit bull, but I don't think he would like it.
Close second.
All right. That's going to do it. You'll find Dana at Sensible Money. And again, the Twitter, since I got it wrong the first time, I'll let you say it.
At Money Over 55.
Yes, at Money Over 55. All right. That's going to do it for today. A lot of people to thank. By the way, if you want to hang out with us as we make this live, come join us. We're doing this just for the summer, where we're doing live recordings. Head to YouTube, the Stacking Benjamins YouTube page, and join us at 5 p.m. Eastern and do the math on wherever you're at. You can hang out with us while we make the show. All right, Doug, you got it from here. What should we have learned today?
Well, Joe, first, don't be afraid to take some time to rest and be idle. What have we been buying all these time-saving appliances for if we don't have time to relax a little bit? Plus, doing nothing is also the best option when it comes to your investments. Like a good wine, let them breathe. Second, take a pro tip from Len. Just put an indefinite out-of-office message on your email. You'll get tons of downtime at work. But the big lesson? Sure, go fly a kite, but maybe don't tell Joe's mom to join you. I went upstairs after the trivia question. She's like all stressed out. So I told her, hey, go fly a kite. Lady totally bit my head off. Apparently, she's not into kite flying as much as the Japanese are. Thanks to Dana Anspach for joining us today. You can find Dana at sensiblemoney.com. Thanks to Len Penzo for joining us. You can find Len at lenpenzo.com. Thanks also to OG for joining us today. Looking for good financial planning help? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for some amazing pictures. For his calendar. This show is the property of SB Podcast LLC, copyright 2022, and is written in part by Paulette Perhatch, who helps writers power their words, their work, and their earning potential with her Powerhouse Writers Coaching Program. Find out more at powerhousewriters.com. Thanks also to our team who made today possible. Karen Repine is our producer. Tina Eichenberg and Gertrude Smith are our social media mavens, and Brooke Miller handles the show notes and our amazing newsletter, The 201. Not only should you not take advice from these losers, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak to a real financial advisor. Sorry, Dana's not a loser. You can take her out of that. That's it for today, folks. We'll see you back here on Monday at Stacking Benjamins.
Welcome to the after show. This is the part of the show that doesn't exist. You found the hidden track. Congratulations. It's funny as I go around the country, the number of people that tell me that it took them 6 months. And I saw we're on YouTube doing this. I saw we lost 2 people after they thought that we were long gone, or they don't care about the hidden track. But I was wondering, Len, when you were talking about that, what clearly would have been a homeowner's claim, as well as taking them to court. I was thinking about some weird homeowners claims that I've seen, and also some things that I had insurance agents tell me off the record to do. Like, as an example, if you dog, and I don't know if you don't want to, number one, don't commit insurance fraud, because you heard this on the show. So I just want to make that clear. However, I did have an insurance agent tell me that if your dog ruins something in your house and you instead say a raccoon did it, one is your pet, the other one is a wild animal, and one is covered and one isn't. I don't know if that is still true. And like I said, don't commit insurance fraud. However, that is
but if you're gonna do it, let me give you the script.
Let me tell you exactly how that works. Yeah, that could be OG. That could be our, how they say you need a lead magnet to get people to like watch your stuff, to subscribe to your things. That could be our lead magnet. How to cheat on your insurance. No, probably not. But anyway, I'm thinking of weird claims. Like, I had a hawk in my grill one time. Like, there's mine. Who has had a hawk fly into their grill? And by the way, the hawk was still alive, and we were sure that there's no way that hawk could be alive. And we knew it was alive when we're driving down the road after we hear this thump, and this thing just comes into the grill when we're driving along at 60 miles an hour.
Grill
and
of
it's
your car.
huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we talking
Grill
about your
of the car.
mouth, Joe?
I was
Which
thinking,
grill?
Were you? Oh,
I was thinking like cooking grill. I was like, what?
Hawk.
no,
Tastes
grill
like
of our
chicken.
car. This hawk hits our car, and then we're driving down the road a little further, and this big wing comes up over the hood and then goes back down. And it happened a couple times before we were able to pull over, so we were sure that and the hawk was alive, and it was half in the grill. And anyway, that's my weird claim. Dana, you had a weird homeowner's car insurance claim?
Not weird, but I had someone break into my house once in January 2012.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, they went to the master bedroom and took all the jewelry, but they ransacked, like, every drawer was open. It was like you see in the movies. There was just stuff pulled out and stuff everywhere. And the crazy thing is, the front door wasn't locked, but they kicked it in. And so,
Just because that's what you do. You got to keep your bad boy street cred.
and here's the even crazier thing. So my dog had passed away, and I had his ashes. They were going to go to Colorado with me to go out on his favorite hiking trail. And so they were in my underwear drawer, and it was a bag of white powder, and they stole it. And so I didn't realize it till later in the year. I went to go to Colorado, and I'm like, I know what they thought that was. They probably thought they got a big pile of drugs, and it was my dog's ashes that they stole.
The last laugh is on them as they're making lines on the dining room table of your dog. By the way, I know we shared this on one show maybe a year ago, and this was a story that happened in at a campground. A couple heard something at 3 a.m, didn't think anything about it, went out the next morning, and there was a hose coming out of their RV where they had tried, the perpetrator had tried to siphon gas. The bad news is they accidentally stuck it in the sewer tank instead, and there's this big pile of vomit next to the hose, where they realized it a little too late that they'd, yeah. Len, how about you? Any strange claims? And Len, you're muted.
There we go. Can you hear me? Sorry about that. I went on mute because I had to go back into my archives because I know I did a story on weird insurance claims once before. So I went and looked at my old archive. So this is the shortest one. This is a strange insurance claim. This is true story. Happened in South Carolina in 2008. Let's see here. So the homeowner, he had an insurance policy with 3 accidental death and dismemberment policies. So what he did is he conspired. The homeowner, he conspired with his partner to cut off the hand of a mentally disabled friend who was in their care.
No.
Yeah. So he intentionally cut off his friend's hand with a pole saw. Then he claimed that it was the friend lost his hand in an accident while the homeowner was sawing a tree down, if you can figure that out. Obviously, well, he got caught, and it was for $750,000 claim. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the lengths people will go for insurance fraud.
Oh, that is horrible. Hey, Doug, you want to come over later?
I gotta cut some trees.
Just asking.
As long as it's my left hand.
How about you, OG? Got one?
No, just two legit claims. So nothing too exciting. Just a couple of hail damage roofs, which is
common
like
occurrence.
A scam every time you get a new roof in Texas, but
common occurrence in Texas. Annette, hanging out with us here on YouTube, says the house that she bought had 18 flying squirrels in the attic and a snake. Yeah, didn't file a claim though. Rick had something happen that was similar to me. Said I had a small group of birds fly in front of my truck, but one didn't make it, sadly. I look behind me and I see the bird on the road, but the 2 to 3 birds that were with it went and flew to the ground and circled it like a eulogy. They all had a silent prayer for the bird that did not make it past Rick's.
They were picking at pockets.
Maybe something else going on. Look. Fresh.
No, don't.